Goldylocks Productions broadcasts universal cosmic frequencies that unlock, awaken, and expand the consciousness of our worldwide viewers and listeners.
Goldylocks Productions presents the Live from Little Bear Sanctuary show with Christopher Vane. Enjoy topics such as the vegan lifestyle, sanctuary media highlights, and spotlighting new rescues.
Happy Friday, friends. Welcome to Live from Little Bear Sanctuary. I'm your host, Chris Vane. And this little girl, she arrived yesterday. Her name is Tulip. I wanted to thank my friend and a fellow podcaster here on the Goldylocks Network, Jeremy Ridden. He sponsored this little girl. He fully sponsored her for $100 a month. We have a couple different sponsorships. So he named her Tulip, and we're really grateful to Jeremy for sponsoring little Tulip here. It takes a huge burden off the sanctuary when somebody fully sponsors an animal. I'm a little tired today, guys. I didn't get much sleep. Jeremy's show, by the way, is on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. I got all my notes today, so I don't forget anything. If you do want to sponsor any of our animals, there's two levels of sponsorship. It's $25 a month or $100 a month. The $25 sponsorship, we combine 4 people together per animal, or you can fully sponsor an animal at $100 level per month. And you get a picture and a bio, and we update you regularly with pictures and all fun stuff like that. If you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, don't forget to sign in and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, say hello. You can ask questions. We have a lot of fun here on the show. If you have any questions, if you want me to cover any topics, if you want to see any specific guests on my show, just email me at info@littlebearsanctuary.org. And guys, if we do get your interview person on the show, we'll send you a Little Bear Sanctuary t-shirt. So yeah, send me some emails. We love to hear from you guys. And if you missed any episodes, you can watch them anytime on demand on the Goldylocks Facebook, YouTube, and on the Little Bear Sanctuary, Little Bear Sanctuary website, littlebearsanctuary.org. All right, guys, what can I tell you? Super Chat. We now have Super Chat via YouTube. It's via YouTube only. And it's a quick and easy way to make a donation. Your little message gets put on the screen. So if you want to say hello and donate $5 or post a sticker, it'll come right here on the screen for everybody to see. And it's just a fun way to donate. And we're happy that we got to that point. We still have our calendar for sale. Well, I'm stuttering today, guys. Still have our calendar for sale. Everything's on our website. All right, so I think my little girl is pooping here. Are you pooping? Great. I've got my hands full. I've got, let me bring my notes around here. All right, so my guest today, she started her career in the sports marketing industry, and today she can be seen and heard in films, commercials, and voiceovers. She won Best Lead Actress for a short called As Life Shifts at the International Filmmaker Festival of World Cinema in Berlin. She co-starred in House of Cards, Homeland, and Spielberg's The Post. Welcome to the studio, New York City actor, animal activist, charities director, mom, and my friend, Felicia Greenfield. How you doing, Felicia?
So good to be here and so happy to follow the pooping pig.
I know, I'm like...
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's been quite a 24 hours for me. I'm playing pig mom again.
Oh no.
Yeah, but she's doing good. I'm shocked she's sleeping, and
I think I'm having some internet issues.
No, I can see you and hear you. You're perfect.
Okay, sorry, I keep freezing.
That's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can perfectly. And
we
and I see
we can see you and hear you.
Okay, good. So I won't start
So don't
pressing on
worry
my
about it.
computer.
Yeah, don't
Okay.
worry about it. Yeah. So thanks for being on the show today. It's good to see you again.
It's so good to see you. I mean, we were saying that we've known each other through Instagram for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, but we finally
for sure.
last month.
Yep. Yes, here at the sanctuary.
Such a thrill if you can get to that sanctuary, get to that sanctuary. What you have created is unbelievable. That especially that I knew you before the sanctuary existed, and now you have 150 animals.
Yeah, crazy, right? From a vet tech kissing puppies to a farm sanctuary with babies and
pooping while you hold them on a podcast.
Yeah, I was telling Tiffany, my producer, I don't know how you moms do it.
You're freezing on me. Can you tell me these questions? It's frozen. Here we go. I'm so sorry. I thought I reset my internet so this wouldn't happen, because how annoying is that?
It's all good. It's all good.
Okay.
I was saying, I don't know how you moms do it. I only have to deal with this for like 2 months, maybe.
You know what's interesting is I've had dogs my whole life, but the first dog that I got as a single adult woman, he made me maternal. I wasn't dying for kids. I got him, I think I had just turned about 30, and he just, packing a bag to take him to the park, and in New York City, you take him to dog care. So I'd come home from work and pick him up, and it'd be so exciting. And then we'd go to the park together. It made me want to have kids, and it made me not ready for kids, but more ready than I think I would have been without having the responsibility of taking care of him. And then,
wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I still don't know if I want kids, but we've talked about possibly fosterings. So we thought the sanctuary would be great.
You can hear me. I just don't want to miss any of his questions.
You're good. Can you hear? As long as you can hear me, we're good. Can you hear me?
Now I can. I'm so sorry. Yes, I can.
Don't apologize. So you were in the sports marketing industry, and now you're an actor. How did that happen? Well,
it's funny. My daughter's sitting right here. I had been in marketing and living in New York City, and I had my first daughter, and she was about 6 months old, as she said. And I was looking through a baby magazine one day, and I'm like, wait a minute, my kid can do this. She's not the most fabulous baby in the world, but they have all kinds in here. So I figured out how to get her an agent. I got her an agent, and I would take her on auditions, and they'd say, can you hold her, or can you play her mom? Or and I would get cast as her mother. And then her agent asked me to get some photos done, and I picked a phenomenal photographer who really told me what to do. And most of the stuff I booked and still book is just playing a mom. And it's a lot of fun, but I love so much about it. But it's a bit of a vapid industry, and I think that's one of the many reasons I got so into animal activism, because I needed that balance. I wanted to make sure I was doing good and not just selling random types of pasta.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. So I actually I've got your film, the short on my list to watch, and I know it's about Lou Gehrig's disease. Was there a connection for you at all, or is it just something you ended up doing?
That one, no, there wasn't a connection.
Okay.
The filmmaker had a connection. He had someone that had passed from that disease. But no, I have so many causes, but that isn't one just because I haven't been touched by that personally. So they're all important, but the ones you feel are the ones that you work on.
Absolutely. I can definitely attest to that. What's new on the horizon? I mean, with COVID in New York City and all this stuff going on, you keeping busy?
Oh, all right. So Danny said you're asking what's new on the horizon. Oh, okay.
With COVID in New York City, how has it affected your career? All the good stuff like that.
I have completely switched to, not completely, but mostly switched to voiceovers. I have a full simple setup, and I do a lot of voiceovers for all kinds of things. As you can imagine, as probably not aware unless you think about it, a lot of commercials now are animated, or they're just the words. So they have around the world. We have a variety of. I have some clients, and then I'm on some casting websites where I do voiceovers of all kinds of things that you could possibly imagine. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. It's tough. There's sometimes, you don't have to, but I'll do a job where it's for a meat product or something that I don't. And there, again, so many causes that I have. There are a lot of things that I'm not happy with doing, but how I rectify that in my head is I figure, if I was a celebrity and people really were watching everything I did, I would probably refuse a lot of jobs. But now what I do is I make a note and I give a percentage of that pay to a charity such as yours, and that's awesome. How I make it work in my world.
Fabulous, awesome. I know you're vegan. I sort of know the story, but tell our watchers how you ended up making the connection.
Sure. So the shorter version of a very long story is I always thought meat was weird my whole life. I tried to be vegan for a point as a kid, but didn't have a lot of support. And that was, pre-internet. I didn't have a car. I lived in the suburbs. You're kind of at your parents', whatever they're cooking, I was going to eat. And then I think after I had my second daughter, it hit me. I'm like, okay, vegetarian, totally vegetarian. I don't like meat. I don't need to eat it. I'm done. And I became more and more of an activist in different areas. And then when my younger daughter so my girls, I never forced them. I never wanted to force them any which way. My older daughter went vegetarian on her own when she was about 5. My husband was an omnivore, but a health nut. And then my younger daughter, she went vegetarian around 5. And then when she was 7, one day she said, vegan, nothing from animals. And I was simultaneously so proud of her and so annoyed. What am I going to do with this? I don't like cooking. I don't know enough. I know that we shouldn't be eating cheese and dairy. I know. But if I give up dairy, I will die because all I eat is dairy and eggs because I don't eat meat. So that's not healthy. Right. And then fortunately, and we mentioned this, I was randomly scrolling on Instagram and came across this amazing guy, Mark Wood, who's still on Instagram. I think he goes by the Highland Herbivore. And I thought he was in Scotland, but turns out he was in New York. And he gave, we wound up hiring him, and he came to our house once a week for a month and taught us how to cook whole food plant-based, which is very different from vegan, as I now understand. And the most amazing part was my husband, who omnivore, but a health nut. Mark said, just give it 30 days. My husband said, just asked him to give it 30 days. And Nick he's not looked back. And that was 5 years ago. And all of us, and learning the right way, and learning not only is it not difficult, but it's so enjoyable and delicious. And I was always such a picky eater because there was a lot I didn't like. And now the options are just overwhelming. And it does make it easier when I have the whole family. I mean, it's absolutely easier. Oh,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And also living in New York, it's not so difficult. Yeah. We talked about Florida. We just spent a month in Florida, and a lot of
very different, right?
Yeah, I still don't like to cook, but we brought our NutriBullet so I can make, as long as we can put the cheese sauce on everything, the cashew cheese sauce.
Right, yeah.
So that's our story. It's 5 years, and I think the more you get into it, the more you get into it. We just we foster a lot of dogs. We just rescued a dog in September, and he was so tiny, and we didn't know what he was, and now he's ginormous. I tried to get him. I wanted to have my own little Tulip to hold, but he does not.
Is that the one I saw? The little puppy I saw on social media?
Oh, I need you because it froze again.
It's okay. Was that the puppy that we saw on social media? The one that I saw in your picture that you're holding in the picture?
Yes, that was right. That was maybe a week after we got him. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So he's a lot bigger now.
Yeah, and it's another long story. I keep super short. I was obsessed. Our last dog I loved to death. He passed away at 17 last year, just before the quarantine, which made it even harder. He was a Yorkie, a big Yorkie, but a Yorkie. I was obsessed with getting. We talked about this, pit bulls. I just absolutely love them, and my husband wasn't on board, and so eventually, after a lot of disagreements, I gave in, and I said, "Okay, we won't." And then he wound up picking out this puppy from this amazing place called Rescue Right in Bedford, New York. And we got him, and he was so tiny. And we did a DNA test, and he's half pit mix, American Staffordshire Terrier and American Bully and German Shepherd. So I got my pit.
You got your pit, yes. Yeah. We've got I've got a full pit, and I've got a pit lab mix, and they're truly the most loving, affectionate, mushy dogs in the world, right?
He's the best. I've had a lot of dogs. I've always wanted a cuddler, and I finally got a cuddler.
Yes, they're cuddlers. Yes, they are. They
not the lap, but if I'm on the floor or the bed, he's
they're right around. Yep. Yeah. You don't need a husband when you have a pit bull.
Maybe that's why he didn't want me to get one.
That's funny. I just want to say good morning. Good morning, Linnell. Thanks for tuning in, sweetie. So again, guys, if you're watching, my friend Felicia Greenfield is on. If you have any questions for her, feel free to ask. So since we're on the topic of, are you waking up? Since we're on the topic of dogs and animals, tell everybody a little bit about Rescue Men USA.
I'd love to. So Rescue Men USA started, I have a good friend, Jen Halper, and she's a casting director in New York City. And the funny story of how we met was, even though we live very close to each other, we happened to have an online cast, a virtual casting, pre-COVID, just happened to be a virtual casting. And it was a real life casting. She was asking me all kinds of questions. She, casting director, just sort of going through it. And at the very end, she's like, all right, just tell me something else about you. So I mentioned this charity that I have with my kids, where we basically do all kinds of things to help the New York City animal care centers, which were in a very poor state. They're getting better, but they're just a mess. And the dogs there, they take in over 30,000 animals a year. They can't, unlike the ASPCA and Humane Society, they are not permitted to turn away any animal. It's a contract with the city, and it was run extremely poorly. So I figured with my girls, I'm like, let's just do stuff to help the animals, not necessarily help them, but we're going to just help the animals because they need beds. They need things to chew on. Anyway, so I was telling this to Jen, and she's like, suddenly she just lit up. What are you talking? Wait, what? I have a charity that does the same thing. And she has one called, and still has it, called Pillows for Paws. And back then we were meeting in her apartment. Well, she, before she met me, she would get gatherings about once a month in her apartment, and people would make hand sew beds and catnip toys and dog tugs. So we're like, well, let's just figure out what we can do together. And so we started meeting for coffee regularly, and we just sort of talked things out, and we agreed, we wanted just to promote the rescue animals need help for sure. But what we needed to do is we wanted to sort of stop it at the head of the river, to stop people, just these puppy mills, and people stop producing dogs and buying dogs and cats and bunnies and buying any animal. Animals should not be commodified. But we wanted to keep it very positive because, I think I mentioned this, there's a reason why some dog and cat people are dog and cat people, because
they're crazy.
With people, yeah. So we're like, let's not be the crazy animal people. Let's, be crazy vegans, and let's just be really, really positive. And, we know some amazing guys that have rescued their dogs. And then it just sort of all of a sudden we were putting together this calendar with guys that we knew who had rescued their companion animal. And so really that's what it was. It was just sort of this way to make it a thing. You just rescue animals instead of you don't buy them, you just rescue. So we did a calendar for many years. It started off Rescueman NYC, and then we expanded it to USA. And then right now it's just a social media campaign, because the calendar took a lot of time and a lot of money, and all of the money we made was going right back into Pillows for Paws to buy supplies to make the animal toys. But it still it wasn't doing what we wanted. So we're like, let's just do a social media campaign. And so right now it's kind of just going until we figure out what our next big step is going to be. And it really is. Yeah, it's just a positive way to adopt, don't shop. That's sort of our thing.
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite accounts on Instagram. And that's how you and I met, from Rescueman USA originally.
Yeah, I remember telling her about you when we started we did it internationally. We did it nationally. We flew out to California and photographed a bunch of guys out there. And I remember saying, we have to go to Florida. There's this guy down there. And then we stopped the calendar, but I've still put you up there once or twice.
That's when I was kissing puppies every day, right?
Froze again. Am I missing anything?
No, you're good. I think there's a lag, but you're good.
Okay, I hear you.
All right. I'm hearing myself in your background, so I hear that there's a bit of a lag.
Okay.
But we're good. We're good. So yeah, Rescueman, one of my favorite accounts. If for those of you watching, check it out on Instagram. It's a lot of fun. What else are we going to talk about today? Grandpa Dave's Creature Comforts.
Yeah. So I think when my older daughter was in preschool, she's right there. She's 5. She was 5. She's telling me. I don't know how it became a charity, but the name. Well, so it's again the main thing was to help the animals at the Manhattan ACC Animal Care Center. Oh my God! Look at that! So cute. I can't stand it. I can't stand that Tulip. So we do a lot of in-kind donations, or we ask people to just give us their old linens and their old towels, because everyone has them and they don't really know what else to do with them. A lot of it you can't recycle, so we just bring the towels to the shelter. We do every once in a while at schools or in our apartment or various places. We'll just do donation drives. And then we started fostering dogs and kittens. I've done the newborn kitten bottle feeding thing. It's exhausting. I remember that round the clock.
Yeah, seriously.
The name. So I had a grandpa Dave, who Danielle, my older daughter, was named after, and he loved animals. I think that's where I get my love of animals from. And he also taught me from a very early age that you need to do at least one good deed a day. And it kind of stuck with me. And I was like, oh, this is so up his alley. And he was just an amazing guy. And this is perfect. Like oh my God, look at Tulip.
Mess. She's a mess.
Oh my goodness.
I know. You're a good girl. Yes, you are. I know.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
No, please. I could watch her all day. Oh my gosh. Until I freeze, which I just did. But now she's frozen in a perfect position.
Oh, that's so
I know. I know you can hear me, but I just see you smiling and holding her in this perfectly still picture.
Oh, that's not
Daniel,
that's not so bad.
ask a question.
He's a good girl.
Oh, there you go. Oh my gosh.
There we go. Yeah, she's being fussy now.
Oh my God.
Fussy.
And she is, in addition to, you also got 2 little boys.
Yes, we got 2 boys from a hoarding case. When did they arrive? Saturday night, Friday night. So they're actually big boys. They're full grown. We thought we were getting 6-month-olds, but 2 adult males, which is fine. They came from a California hoarding case of over 400 pigs. Crazy. It was a lady who, somebody asked me on social media, how do you hoard pigs?
I saw
it's not easy. It's not easy.
Breeding and breeding.
Yep, exactly. And that's typical of what happens. Okay, all right. Here, there. Yeah, and that's typical of what happens. They don't spay and neuter. They feel they're doing a good deed, and pigs go into heat.
So just let me know if you ask me a question. Come closer.
Yeah, they can hear you.
Okay. And you had mentioned that I think you said there was did you say a boar had gotten into your
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. So we had a breakthrough. We had a break-in from a boar who impregnated 2 of our pigs, actually. And yeah, sometimes we don't know if they're spayed. Obviously, it's easy to tell if the males are neutered. So these 2 weren't spayed, and we have a couple new arrivals.
And that's where those three piglets had come from, right?
Yep.
Is that okay?
Yep. So yeah, the lady back in California thought she was doing a good thing and never spayed and neutered, and pigs go into heat. Oh my gosh, I think it's every 22 days. So
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so multiply that by 3 years, and you end up with hundreds and hundreds of pigs. And it's not the first time. It's
So what's the gestation period? What's the pregnancy period?
Gestation period is 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. But they go into heat a lot, so that's why they become pregnant very easily. But it's basically a 4-month gestation.
Wow.
And they can have up to 12 piglets, and then that cycle continues, and yeah, almost as bad as cats.
Yeah. Oh, cats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank goodness for the TNR
It's a mess.
programs.
This one's making a mess. I'm covered in milk, but it's all good. You should cook.
But it's just like as if she couldn't get any cuter.
So Grandpa Dave's, sorry. So Grandpa Dave's help support shelters?
Yes, so in a variety of ways. Again, it was really started just a way for my kids to have something that was theirs, and just to encourage them to want to do good on their own without me telling them. The same way I can't make them, I wouldn't make them go vegan, because if you don't believe in it for whatever reason, whether it's, my husband does it for his health, we have a friend that just does it for the environment. If they don't believe in it, then it's just another rule that I've put on them. And
Exactly.
As soon as they're out of my hands, they're going to do what they want. So this was just something to give to them. And, sure, in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, college applications. But it's,
yeah, true.
Yeah, every once in a while, they're like, oh, we should, do this for Grandpa Dave's Creature, put it under our charity umbrella. So it's not an official 501c3, which Pillows for Paws became 501c3. So Rescue Men and anything else we do it on, Jen usually lets us do it under that if it's legitimate. But Pillows for Paws is just, Grandpa Dave's Creature Comforts was just a way to get my kids giving back and wanting to give back. And then again, there's the whole social media thing. I had it on Facebook, and I'm like, ooh, it's been a couple weeks. We need to do a good deed to post. And you can argue the ethics of that, but as long as I felt as we're doing good deeds,
I think it's a great idea.
it was benefiting someone or something.
Yeah.
So that's why it was there. And we can sometimes it sort of lies fallow for a couple months, and then we'll just get all motivated to do it again.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. It's a great idea.
Thanks.
Especially for kids. It's a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. What else are we going to talk about? Tell me about the Foundation for Education in Honduras.
Okay. Well, it's, not really focused on animals, although I'll get to that. Again, really long story. I'll make sure it's amazing start, because so actually it does start with Creature Comforts. I was with my older daughter. It was like 6 years ago. So you were like 8. And I picked her up from school, and we were taking the subway to go to Times Square. We're going to start asking the hotels for their old linens to take to the ACC. And we just walked down in the subway station, and all this commotion, and someone had fallen in, and then someone jumped in after him to save him.
Wow.
And it turned, so we inserted ourselves into this and called 911. And when I realized that both of those guys were alone, we decided, well, we're going to stay. They were both on the benches. We'll stay till emergency comes and all this stuff. And I gave them my contact information just in case, because I'm like, no one's ever going to believe this story. And the guy that had jumped in, his name was Ramiro Ocasio, and he is an amazing man in so many ways. We call him Ramiro the hero, and who, I'm just going to jump ahead and say, is now vegan. And he wasn't, but he's now. So we cannot say enough about how amazing this man is. It turned out he was from Honduras originally, and although he worked at a law firm here in Manhattan, he was still going back every Christmas and bringing supplies. And back then in 2015, I think Honduras was the country with the highest murder capital. It was the highest murder rate in the world. I mean, more than the Middle East. The gangs were just, the poverty was horrendous. Anyway, jumping ahead, he and a partner there, John Hennis, wound up turning it, what he did into, and his notoriety from being a subway hero, turned it into this charity, Foundation for Education in Honduras. And what they do, what we do, is rebuild schools in some of the poorest areas, because instead of just giving money, we are giving education, and then we do more as needed. But it's just become this wonderful opportunity. And they asked me to be the first board member, and I actually said no. I'm like, I'm very busy with animals and all stuff. And then they kind of pushed it, and I'm like, all right, it's nice to be wanted. It's nice to be in a charity where you're not begging people for things. It's like this was like, there are going to be some high level donors, and it's not going to be all begging. And I'm like, all right, let's see what happens. And it's become this amazing opportunity. I brought my kids down there to Honduras a few times, and we've opened like 15 schools. And one thing I discovered, at the beginning, I was going to every school opening, and I discovered, like a lot of like equatorial countries, there are a lot of stray dogs, a lot. And the kids, they just don't treat them well because it's just not a priority for them. But it really bothered me. So I started bringing treats for the animals, and I would try to tell the kids, like, look, you can feed them. It's fun. It's nice. They're nice. You don't kick them. You feed them. And then I actually have something, another man, amazing, Dr. Mauricio Gonzalez. He's on Instagram. I highly recommend connecting with him. He's incredible vegan doctor from Mexico. He got involved a tiny bit, and he and I created these posters that I actually have to put up. I just fund all of these posters to put up in all the schools that talks about, in Spanish, about being a hero. And it just like subtly talks about how to be a hero is like animals are part of our planet, and just these are up in all the classrooms. And then how eating healthfully, which, they are food's a little bit food scarce, but it talks about vegetables and fruits and grains. And it just very subtly just talks about animals are your friends. And so any way we can just animal welfare into anything we do. So, I mean, Faye is amazing in so many ways, but I love that my kids and I have sort of also carved out this little opportunity to teach the kids to just be kind to animals and, just feed them, don't kick them.
I know it happens a lot in third world countries. The dogs really.
Oh, do you have your phone?
The dogs really aren't treated the same way they are here, even if they are homeless. They don't get they don't have a good life in some of the third world countries.
Okay. So, you're coming back. Okay. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Apologize. I was going to say it's amazing in third world countries. The animals, the street dogs, are not treated the same way they would be here in general. They're really seen as a nuisance, I think, in third world countries, where here, people at least try to feed them and care for them. For the most part.
Absolutely. I mean, there, here in New York, there are plenty of people that abuse animals. But we had we had one foster dog that I don't want to say, I can't say our favorite. We've had a lot of amazing dogs, but this one came from Egypt. She had bullet fragments in her face and in her eye. They flew her and other dogs from Egypt to New York. She immediately, fortunately, went in for surgery. They removed her eye and all of the bullets, and she came and stayed with us. And I honestly thought, why did they do this to this dog? I mean, why did they bother putting her on it, around the world? And they should have probably just let her pass. Well, she did amazing. She is incredible. She now has an Instagram account of Marzi Pants, Marzi Pants. She's just incredible. But the point is, they were using her in Egypt. Apparently, they used street dogs for target practice. That was how she wound up being shot. But it ultimately ended up, this amazing woman adopted her, and she, according to her Instagram page, she now travels the world. There's a picture of her. She goes hiking. She went through hell, and then she nailed it. But I couldn't believe that story.
Wow, talk about a happy ending, right? That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's not always like that, but that was.
Oh gosh, no.
She was special, Marzi Pants, and she apparently, her name was Marzuka, and a friend of mine who's Muslim, she's like, oh, that means blessing in Arabic. So I guess the name was prophetic.
Cool, very cool. All right, what else are we going to talk about?
Well, how about your animals? I mean,
I always talk about my animals.
I know, but that's why people turn in for your amazing. I mean, 150, and I was there. It was like, I mentioned this. It was like I felt like I was in another part of the world. I mean, like the Australian outback at one point. I mean, there was nothing like it. But I have a question. So you said I was watching an older podcast of yours, and you said that you were at a different location because your internet had gone out, so you went to a neighbor's to use their internet.
Yes.
And all I thought it took like 20 minutes just to get to that dirt road to your house. How do you just pop over to a neighbor's? Was that like an hour travel?
It wasn't easy. Let me tell you. Yeah, the dirt. Just leaving this place is a safari, right? There was I was coming home yesterday, and as I'm driving down the dirt road, there's a little baby bobcat sitting there, and I'm thinking, is that a cat? Is that a dog? And as I got up close, it was a little baby bobcat, and she went running off into the area. Yeah, so baby bobcats. That's what I deal with out here.
Can't say I've ever seen one of those.
They're cute.
I bet.
Very cute. They're dangerous when they get big. Well, they can be to the small animals, but.
Yeah. Do you have any concern about the larger wild animals? We know the boars come in.
It's our biggest problem, I think, are the boars that come around. And when I say problem, now the fences are fixed. Sometimes, they get in by accident. But we haven't had any coyotes, thank goodness. And I think the smell from all the animals keeps most of the predators away, like coyotes and bobcats. There's a lot of commotion. We used to rescue more.
It doesn't do the opposite? It doesn't attract them?
They really look for like chickens, the smaller chickens and ducks. And we actually had to stop rescuing chickens and ducks because we were having an issue originally with probably the bobcat coming in to feed. But thank goodness no coyotes. But they're usually after in town, it's a huge problem. Because, this was all the property was like where I live, where it's out in the middle of nowhere. And with all the construction, there's in downtown Punta Gorda, they have a coyote problem.
Interesting.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah, but it makes sense. We're still, I remember when I was a kid, an area of forest not far from my house. I remember them raising it to build a new community. And I was like, but there are lots of deer back there. Where are they going to go? And the people with the money just don't care. And I grew up in a very conservative town, and I used to think, those crazy animal people and huggers and we have to build and the deers will, I couldn't quite rectify it in my child mind. I was like, well, what about the deer? But it still needs to happen. They need to build. And then when I became vegan, it was just this moment, this aha moment of, oh, wait, I never understood this because I don't agree with it. And now took me as well into my 30s to say, oh, because it's wrong. And these people are wrong and they're greedy. And
yeah, pretty much, right?
I can just do, one thing about being a vegan that I talk about as often as I can is whether you realize it or not. If you're vegan, you're an ambassador for veganism. And I think it's just important to be aware of that. And if you're going to be a crazy vegan, just know that,
crazy vegan.
Yeah.
I talk about the crazy vegans all the time. Oh, you know what? It's funny. You mentioned earlier that your account and what you do comes from a positive side, as opposed to, a lot of these accounts on Instagram where they're showing the slaughter and they're showing the really horrible parts of the animal industry and factory farming. And you and I are alike that way. If you follow the sanctuary, even if my personal account, it's just, this is what I eat. These are my animals, and I think I get a more positive response from people who are at least thinking about going vegan, and as opposed to I'm letting the audio catch up.
Right. It's unfortunately right. My daughter, I can hear it, but by the time you come back, we're ahead of it.
Okay.
Sorry, I missed the last thing you said. But
it's nice when accounts come from a positive aspect as opposed to showing negative, and I think it's a bigger impact too.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I think so. I attend my share of protests, and I really do not enjoy them. And I think about it as, well, so there's a lot of places, but in New York, especially in Brooklyn, every September is it's called Kaporos, where the ultra Orthodox and Hasidic, they basically transfer their sins to a chicken and slaughter it in the street in a big party festival atmosphere. And they break over 25 laws, but New York City, despite, it's been brought to court many times, city won't do anything about it. Usually saying religious freedom, even though it's murder and blood. And even this year during the quarantine, they were still out in full force. They bring in 50,000 chickens and slaughter them and then throw them away. They don't, I know firsthand, I've seen they don't give them to the poor to eat. They literally throw them in garbage bags. I've seen it before. And I attend that most years because as much as I hate it, as much as I hate going, what they do is so much, I hate so much more. So sometimes it's just, bearing witness and being reminded that this is why I fight so hard. And, but the first time I went, I just found people are just yelling and screaming at each other. And I know that there's no point in that. There really isn't. And then a friend of mine, I actually met him at that event, and he became my trainer, Jamie Robinson in New York, incredible guy. I remember watching him talking very, very kindly. He's this big, strong, he looks like an absolute testosterone meathead, and he's the kindest vegan man. He's just wonderful. And I remember looking over and seeing him just speaking so calmly and listening. I took pictures of, I was like, this is amazing. And I sent him pictures afterwards. And I'm like, how? And all of this insanity and the blood smell and the yelling. I'm like, you were just engaged in such almost like a meaningful conversation. And he said, because the yelling's not doing anything. What if I can, get through to one person? And it was really inspiring. And it really reminded me, right, just because I'm at a protest, I don't have to be screaming like a crazy woman. I can try to engage with just one person. And it's
so important.
This is wrong.
It's a great, I think a lot of the yelling vegans could learn a lot from taking it down a notch and trying to engage, even if it is just one person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, it's those crazy vegans, right?
I know. And I've done some PETA protests. I did one topless, wearing a bandeau top, a topless PETA protest, and it was fun. That was fun. It was we were protesting Canada Goose, which living in New York City, it's just Canada Goose and fur. Although fur really is cut back. I haven't seen it cut back.
Right?
Yeah.
Who's the big fur guy in New York? The activist Rob Banks.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, he's usually at these. Okay. The topless one, again, wearing a bandeau top, it was extreme. I mean, it got a lot of media attention. I think there were 5 of us, and I'm like, we weren't screaming. We were just standing there, and it's actually funny. It was about that day. It had dipped into the 30s, but I get so heated and so angry at these people, and I hate Canada Goose so much that I literally, up until we were out there for an hour, up until the last 10 minutes, I was fine, because we were just standing there arms akimbo and just staring, and so much media, and I'm like, it's for the animals.
That's awesome.
And that was cool.
Yeah, PETA definitely makes a statement.
Any new animals coming? And not that.
We have a mini horse coming tomorrow, so I'm really excited about that. It's been about 2 months in the works. He had to get castrated. He was rescued by one of our other sanctuaries here in Florida that we work with, and we're excited to have him. I can't wait to meet him. He looks he's all white. We jokingly put a little cartoon unicorn thing on his head. So he's coming tomorrow. That's very exciting. I hope he gets along with the donkeys.
Yeah, they are so cute. Oh my God! Does the horse have a name yet?
They're calling him Prince.
Okay.
Prince. Yeah.
Prince.
We'll probably go with that.
It's amazing how one of my favorite things about the sanctuary, Little Bear Sanctuary, is, I mean, there are a lot of things I love about it, but just how so many of them seem to be together, or at least, if not together, just very close to each other. So, so you have this amazing dog, Koa, who my daughter, she still talks about. Koa is now her favorite creature on the planet. And we were sort of being Koa's voice, because he would jump into where the pigs were. I'd be like, look, see, I'm a pig. And then he would suddenly be with the donkey. He's like, no, I'm a donkey. And then he was just wherever he was going to get there first. And he was one of them. And
yeah, she's quite the little star here.
I've never gone to a sanctuary and said the dog was my favorite, but she was just really special, special dog.
Yeah, she's a rescue dog. We were really lucky to get her. It was one of those. It was one of those cases when I worked at the vet clinic. She had gotten hit by a car, and the owner was very drugged out, could hardly stand up, and I convinced her to.
Her owner, or the owner of the car?
The previous owner of Koa. Koa's previous owner was drugged out and brought her to the vet clinic when she got hit by a car.
Oh, well, you got a good one there. You never know there's any trauma in her past.
Yeah. So it took me about 2 hours. I convinced her to give her to me, and it was the best decision I ever made. So I took her home that night, and of course you met her. She's amazing.
She really is.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, my dear, we're coming to the end of the show. Anything else you want to add before I let you go?
No, the only thing is, I think the last time I spoke was years ago at a vegan thing, and I remember I came with a sign. There's one statement that I taught my kids early on when they went vegan that I think every vegan should know, because the number one question we all get is protein. Do you get enough protein? Where do you get free? I mean, are you kidding with the question? So my kids' very simple answer is, and this is true, if you're getting enough calories from whole foods, you're getting enough protein.
Absolutely.
So remember
Yes.
that. And then I think I remember my daughter told me that she said that to her grandmother, my mother, and she said something like, "But there's no protein in cotton candy." And Danny, who was little, goes, "But that cotton candy's not a whole food." So if you're getting enough calories from whole foods, you're getting enough protein.
Yes, absolutely. That's awesome.
That's our thing.
Definitely.
So I want to leave you with that. And I could talk to you forever, but thank you so much. And thank you for everything you do. And
thank you for coming on. And I hope you'll come back.
We will. we will.
Great. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye,
Great to see you, Felicia.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. So if you guys are just tuning in, hello, everybody. This is little baby Tulip. And Tulip is 2 weeks old. She arrived yesterday, and she is a feral. She's a feral piglet that was found in the streets and brought to Peace River Wildlife, which is the wildlife sanctuary here in town. And she's definitely bonded to me over the last 24 hours, as you can see, because most pigs scream when you pick them up. And with her, it's the opposite. If I put her down, she screams and screams. And when she wakes up, I've got her bottle ready. She's actually asleep, and I'm shaking her around. And so that's how trusting she is. Really young to be separated from her mom, probably another hunting incident. Don't know if she had any siblings, probably, but she's a little angel. And I want to thank Jeremy Ridden, who has a show here on the Goldylocks Network called Higher Realm, right? Tuesdays at 8. And he generously sponsored her rescue. There's a couple different ways you can sponsor our little animals. One of them is by donating $25 a month. And what that does is we put 4 people together to bring it to a total of $100 a month, because that's basically the cost per month of let's just say a pig. And he was very generous enough to donate $100 a month for her care. And it's why we've been able to continue to rescue so many animals, because of everybody whose monthly donations they go to help us continue rescuing animals. We're one of the few sanctuaries who still actively rescues, and that's because of monthly donations from all of our friends, from all of our sponsors. We're so grateful to you guys, and I know these guys are grateful. She's like, look at how asleep she is. Sorry, guys. I'm on very little sleep, so. Sorry, guys. All right, I'll stop being silly. So yeah, thank you, Jeremy. That was really sweet of you to sponsor her, and he named her Tulip. And she definitely is a little tulip, right? She's a little tulip. She's a good girl. So yeah, if you go to our website, there's a sponsor page. She definitely trusts me, Tiffany, for sure. It's very unusual to see what you're seeing right now. I guess I'm a pig mom again for the next 3 months. Pig dad, pig mom. Let me change my notes around here. Thanks for everybody being patient today. It's been a really busy week. Hello to everybody who's here. I'm not sure if I said hello to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So let's see, where's my notes? Here we go. All right. So I saw this saying on social media last night, and it said, took me 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes to like really figure it out, probably because I'm tired. But and I'd never seen this saying before. It said from an anonymous source, and it's, you can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. And I kept reading it over and over and over again, and I'm like, it took me a little bit of a second to get it, and I guess depending on the inflection you put on that sentence makes the difference. So again, it's you can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. And I think that's a really powerful little saying, especially for 2021. That's going to be my new mantra. It's you can't change the negative people in your life, so change the people in your life. Get some positive people. Get rid of the negative this year. Be kind. I now more than ever, we all need to be kind to each other. Need to be kind to the animals. It's Veganuary this month, which is it's the month where people there's a movement to try vegan for the month of January. Just try it for 1 month and see how it goes. If you go to, I think it's veganuary.org. I don't know, Tiffany, is it .org or .com? I'm not sure if Tiffany knows. Look it up, Veganuary, and they give you all the resources you need to go vegan, what to buy, where to shop, and it's an amazing resource. Try it for a month. It's not too late. Try it for a week. This right here is why I'm vegan, right? Pigs are the most abused animal on factory farms. So this little girl right here is why I will never eat an animal again. I will not buy anything that has any animals on it, no fur, no leather. Definitely no animals, right, sweetie? Keep that in mind, guys. Keep pigs off your plate. They're truly amazing. They're the 4th smartest animal on the planet. Right? She's such a good little girl. I wish everybody could come here and hold a piglet and make the connection like I did. It's so important. I mean, look at this little thing. She's the reason I'm vegan, and I hope you guys will take that into consideration. Start by leaving pork off your plate. It's the worst food you can put in your body. Bacon is a carcinogen, just as bad as smoking cigarettes. The World Health Organization literally has put bacon as one of the top carcinogens, and it's for good reason. It doesn't digest in our bodies. It's completely useless. And look at this little sleepy head here. So yeah, I'm going on very little sleep, guys. So I appreciate everybody's patience today. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Jeremy, again for doing a full sponsorship of this little girl. I'm glad she was so cooperative today. She slept through the whole show except for a couple times. My guest next week, there's a slight confusion, so I'll announce it during the week who my guest next week is going to be. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Remember, peace begins on your plate. I'm Chris Vane, and signing out. Have a great day, everybody. Love you guys.
Don't want the fun to end? Grab more refreshments. Then head over to the Goldylocks Productions YouTube channel. With the huge selection of shows, the fun doesn't have to end.